All right. Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Okay. So today, we're going to be looking at something you probably don't think about every day,
Right.
but it's actually super important to, well, pretty much everything. We're
Oh,
talking about the stuff that keeps your frozen pizza from sticking to the box,
oh yeah.
or the packaging that makes sure your medications, the important runs, stay safe when they're shipped across the country, whether it's freezing cold or
Yeah.
like 100 degrees out there.
Yeah, that's actually a great point. I mean, think about all those specialized fluids they use for coating and packaging. Those have to work no matter the temperature, right?
Exactly. And that's where this case study we dug up comes in. It's all about thermal conductivity and density testing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So we've got this company, right? And they're like, okay, we need to make sure these fluids work, whether it's, the Arctic or the Sahara Desert. So they got to figure out how those fluids behave at like crazy temperatures.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, from a scientific perspective, that's where understanding thermal conductivity and density becomes absolutely essential.
Totally. And the company in the study had to figure it out for a huge temperature range, like from negative 60 degrees C to plus 60 degrees C. That's nuts, right?
It's a massive challenge for sure. I mean, the tolerances are so tight.
Okay, so before we get too far, can we back up a bit? For those of us who, maybe didn't ace chemistry class, what exactly are thermal conductivity and density? Why are they so important here?
All right, so let's break it down. Imagine you have a hot cup of coffee, right?
Love it.
The cup itself has high thermal conductivity. That means heat travels through it really quickly, which is why it burns your hand if you hold it too long. But the coffee inside, well, hopefully that's in a good thermos, which is designed to have really low thermal conductivity, so it keeps your coffee nice and warm.
Makes sense.
So think about those fluids used in packaging and coatings. They need to have just the right thermal conductivity to protect whatever's inside, whether it needs to stay warm, cold, or just stable.
Okay, so it's all about controlling how fast the heat can move through, right?
Exactly.
And what about density? Where does that fit into all of this?
Good question. Density is basically how tightly packed the molecules are in a substance. Think of it like honey versus water.
Okay.
Honey is a lot denser than water, and that's why it flows differently. The density of these specialized fluids is going to affect how they behave at different temperatures. Stuff like viscosity, even whether they expand or contract when it's hot or cold. All super important.
Got it. So back to our case study, this company has this huge challenge, right? They got to find a way to test both thermal conductivity and density across this insane temperature range. And it sounds like that wasn't the only hurdle. What else were they dealing with?
Finding a lab that could actually handle those extreme temperatures and do it accurately, that was their first big problem. Not every lab out there has the right equipment or, the expertise for something this specialized. And the company knew that even a tiny error in the data could mean big problems down the road.
Right, because if those test results are off, even by a little bit, the consequences could be.
Huge, yeah. Imagine a medication that's supposed to be kept refrigerated, even in extreme heat. If the packaging fails because the fluid wasn't tested properly, well, it could be really bad.
No kidding. So the stakes are high.
Yeah.
And to make things even more complicated, this company's like, hey, what if we need to test even colder than minus 60 degrees C to land, just in case? So how in the world do they find a lab that could pull all of that off?
That's where Infinita Lab steps in,
Right?
right?
Infinita Lab, okay.
They specialize in this kind of thing, finding labs that can handle really specific, often tricky testing requirements. They were able to identify a few labs that could do the extreme temperatures, and they, did their homework, making sure the testing methods were top-notch, met all the standards. They really went above and beyond to understand the company's needs.
So it wasn't just here's a lab, good luck. They really made sure everything was going to be accurate and reliable.
Absolutely. And in the end, the company got what they needed: reliable data for that whole temperature range, which is, what they needed to move forward. They could be confident about how those fluids would perform.
So in the end, it's about making sure the products we use every day actually work the way they're supposed to, whether it's the food we eat or the medications we take,
Mhm.
or even like the cars we drive. It's pretty amazing when you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, and what I think is really fascinating is how this case study just shows how much we need specialized testing as, we create all this new stuff.